All right, so we've got ourselves a government shutdown. Let's take score, all right, you voters. This is going to disproportionately affect red states. Why? Because they are more dependent on the government than the blue states are. Oh, but blue states have crime, blah, blah, blah. With any population center, you're going to have higher crime. Did you know that we're sending troops to Portland and Memphis has about the same amount of people in it, but 24 times the number of murders? Yeah. How come we're not sending? Oh, red state. That's why we're not sending troops, because this is political. This is only political. So don't listen to the bullshit. Basically, all the Democrats want is for people to keep their health care. I have seen lots of lower income, middle income people who are dependent on the marketplace. My daughter is dependent on the marketplace. And, you know, her hours got cut. The economy's down. She lost her benefits because her hours got cut. That's how it goes for middle America. That's all the Democrats want, is for you to keep your health care because it's going to expire in December. That's all they want. So don't listen to all this bullshit about illegals. Illegals aren't eligible for this. Illegals aren't eligible for Medicaid or Medicare. They don't get it. But you don't understand that because it's, Orange Jesus that's talking to you. So you believe it. Anyway, this is what you voted for. Fuck around, find out. This is disproportionate to all you red voters. And if you don't hold them accountable, well, that's on you. But the rest of us, we know.
Folks, let's stop pretending this shutdown is some mysterious accident. Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House. They crashed the bus and now they're blaming the passengers in the back. This isn't new. Republicans have been abusing their power at every turn. They've gutted Medicaid, they've slashed food assistance, they've forced work requirements that rip healthcare away from people who need it. They've shoved money into ICE, giving immigration enforcement a bloated slush fund, while cutting the very programs that keep families afloat. Now Democrats are saying no, and here's why. If you give in to bullies, they don't stop. They don't say thank you. They say good, now hand over more. Look at every community, every program, every group that's capitulated to Republican demands. Every single one ends up squeezed harder the next round. Bullies escalate, and we're standing on the edge of a cliff right now. So no, Democrats can't just go along to get along. Capitulation here wouldn't be compromise, it would be complicity. It would mean becoming enablers of the same abuse that's already hollowed out the foundation. Republicans own this shutdown. Republicans crashed the system, and they own the wreckage. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Well, Republicans, I hope you're having the day you deserve.
So I have a new episode of We Told You So to go out today about the government shutdown and everything, but this has to be talked about first. That ridiculous fucking military meeting that Pete Hegseth and Trump had in front of hundreds of military brass was embarrassing. These people are seasoned combat veterans. These are people who have been serving for a long time. These are people who know the ins and outs of the military, and they were greeted to dumb bullshit like this.
Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, FAFO.
Again, fucking embarrassing. There's a reason why throughout that entire meeting the generals stayed entirely silent, and Trump had to beg them to applaud, very Jeb Bush-like. Because Hegseth just went on and on about fat people in the military, and after Trump came out there to back up what Hegseth said, Gavin Newsom didn't miss a beat going on Twitter and saying, "Oh, guess the commander-in-chief's gotta go." So the military brass had to sit there and embarrassingly listen to a Fox News pundit try and tell them all about alpha male culture. So if that wasn't bad enough, then Trump got up there and just basically had a brain meltdown.
A submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. Can't use either of them.
And that's when he wasn't complaining about Sleepy Joe or his own landslide victory that he didn't have. To sum it up, The Atlantic put it perfectly. The commander-in-chief is not okay. Because like I said, Trump rambled on for over an hour to dead silence even after begging for them to applaud for him, which most likely left a lot of these seasoned generals leaving the auditorium thinking, what the hell is wrong with the commander-in-chief? He tried making it sound like a campaign rally full of his old grievances and bullshit, which the top military generals do not give a shit about. Because this was just supposed to be a disgusting pep talk trying to get the military on Trump's side as he uses the military against his own citizens. And it failed miserably. Because this was just the military version of that UN meeting, which led a diplomat to message somebody from the Washington Post and say, "This man is stark raving mad. Do Americans not see how embarrassing this is?" The sad thing is that yes, most of us do.
Welcome to day one of a U.S. government shutdown. There is no plan and no deal to reopen it anytime soon. So for those of you who are new to this, welcome to the party. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what comes next and how this is going to impact you. And for those of you who have been through this before, you also need to be paying attention to this video because this shutdown is unlike any other shutdown that any of us have seen in the past. Of course, the politics around this is messy. And I will address that if you want in a totally separate video. But in this video, I just want to give you the nuts and bolts of what is going to happen. Okay, so officially the U.S. government shut down at 12:01 a.m. this morning, October 1st. That means all non-essential government workers have been furloughed and non-essential government agencies and departments have all been closed. According to the White House, that means up to about 750,000 federal employees are going to be off the job. As for federal agencies and departments that are considered essential, they are still open. However, the essential federal workers at those agencies and departments must show up to work and they will not be paid until the government reopens. Now, put a pin in that idea for a second because we're going to come back to it. And this little tidbit is going to impact you. It's super important. But before we get there, let's talk about what are considered some key essential agencies and departments that are staying open. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Veterans Benefits, military operations, federal law enforcement, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and Air Traffic Control. They will all stay open. The essential government employees who work at those agencies will all have to show up, but they will not be paid. And general rule of thumb is the shorter the government shutdown lasts, the less impact it will have on everyday Americans. And the longer it lasts, the more it will impact you. Of course, it impacts every federal worker immediately. But for everyone else, if this shutdown is just a few days, it shouldn't really disrupt your life. But if it lasts for more than a week, you're going to start to see some problems. Now, for the record, the last government shutdown we had was in 2018 into 2019 during the first Trump administration. That was the longest shutdown we've seen in like 40 years, and it lasted for 35 days. And those 35 days are what leads me back to this idea I told you to put a pin in. Remember I said these essential workers have to go to work and they won't get paid until the government opens back up. Well, during the last government shutdown, that was 35 days. That's a long time, and it basically boils down to missing 2 paychecks. So put yourself in the shoes of these essential government workers. What if your employer said, yeah, I need you to come to work, but I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to give you a paycheck, but you still need to do your job? What happens to your bills? Do you think your landlord would just waive your rent for that month? What about your electric bill? How about your cell phone bill? See, it's a problem. Now, what happened last time was federal workers at TSA, for example, put up with the showing up to work without a paycheck for the first few days and weeks. But by the end, they were like, if you're not going to pay me, I'm just not going to show up anymore. So they started to call in sick to work, which trickled down to air travelers who were facing huge lines at the security checkpoints because lots of the TSA officers just called out sick. Now, here's another example. Remember I said Social Security is considered essential. So yes, you will get your Social Security check. However, some of the Social Security support staff at the Social Security offices are considered non-essential, so they are furloughed. That means if you want to process perhaps a new Social Security or disability claim, or if you have questions about your benefits, getting those answers will start to become very difficult as this shutdown drags on. As for SNAP benefits, those will continue for now. But if this shutdown lasts past the month of October, they may not. One more example I know will impact a lot of you. The Department of Education is furloughing about 80% of its staff. And that's on top of all of the firings we saw earlier this year. So it's slim over there already. So yes, you will still get your student aid disbursement through your Pell Grant or federal direct student loans. And yes, you can still apply to FAFSA, but you will not be able to get any kind of new grant award. And if you have questions about your student loans, answers for those questions are going to become very difficult because the support staff is all furloughed. And by the way, yes, you are still required to pay your student loans back during the government shutdown. The last important thing I want to point out, which makes this shutdown completely different than any other shutdown we've ever seen, is President Trump and his stance on all of this. Usually during a shutdown, the president wants to get federal workers paid and off the furlough as soon as possible, so there's minimal disruption to those workers' lives and the lives of the American people who rely on those government workers and agencies. But President Trump thinks about this differently. He just said yesterday he is going to use this shutdown as an opportunity to further his mission to just slash the federal workforce. He said he wants to cut vast numbers of people. So instead of furloughs, these federal workers may actually get layoff notices or they may actually be fired. He also said he's going to use the shutdown to cut programs that the Democrats like. Now, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, but I've never heard a president say anything like that, nor have we seen a president use a shutdown to just slash the workforce.
All right, let's take a second and talk about the latest shenanigans from this White House. The grift is wow. Just wow. Okay, so you have Scott Bessent, right? Hedge fund guy, right? Howard Nutlick, another hedge fund guy. Really try, along with Elon Musk, right? Really try to get Javier Milei elected in Argentina, which successful, right? Javier Milei doged the crap out of the Argentinian government. And shocker, their economy absolutely collapses. So when they got him elected, both Bessent and Nutlick and all of their buddies invested heavily into Argentina. The economy collapses and they're like, oh, we just lost a ton of money. We have to bail them out. So what do? They go and pickpocket the American people to the tune of $20 billion to bail themselves out, as well as Argentina. And what does Argentina do? They drop their export taxes on soybeans and sell their soybeans to China to finish out what China needs for the year. So now the American soybean farmers, who export almost exclusively all of their soybeans to China, have no market to sell them. So what do you think is going to happen now? Yeah, the American government is going to come and pick your fucking pocket again to bail out those farmers. Are you understanding what's going on yet? Are you getting it? Are you getting how bad and how corrupt this Republican administration is? Are you understanding it yet? How many times are you going to let them rob you blind? Keep voting Republican. It'll always work out good. Not to mention, have we seen the jobs report today? Yeah, not good. Oh yeah, tariffs are going to bring all of these manufacturing jobs back. Manufacturing jobs have decreased every single month since Trump's taken office. Every single month. Yeah. Oh, we're bringing in, what was it, $13 trillion? And we can't even fund the government. When are you going to let the lies sink in? Everything this administration tells you is a lie. All of it. And it started in the first term, right? How much was Foxconn going to invest during Trump's first term? Remember that? No, probably not. Because it's more convenient to forget, right? So stupid how he has 36% approval rating? How? How do you have 36% of people that approve of you? You are the worst president to ever walk the face of the earth. Ever. Horrible. Absolute economic shit show. It's a blessing that the American economy is so big that it takes a lot more than one person to absolutely train wreck it, but he's going to try. He's going to try. Unbelievable. The midterms can't come fast enough because it's going to be a slaughterhouse. Until then, good luck. Stay safe.
We have some very important news this evening. The Trump White House has announced that mass firings of federal employees will begin in the next day or two, likely within the next 48 hours, as the government shutdown has now entered essentially hour 14, hour 15, with really no end in sight. Russ Vought, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, who's also a previous author of Project 2025, essentially notified the agencies that firings of federal workers will begin within 1 or 2 days. He previously laid out in a memo that mass layoffs of agencies will occur for those who were deemed, quote, not consistent with the president's policies. Vice President J.D. Vance further confirmed this at the press briefing room, saying that layoffs are imminent unless the shutdown ends. He is stressing that they're not targeting people based on politics or agencies based on politics, but I will tell you this. According to Political reporting, one of the agencies that's about to be targeted is the Environmental Protection Agency, which has been fodder for Republicans for a very long time. There are currently about 15,000, 16,000 or so employees at the EPA. According to all reports, that number will drop down to just about 1,200 employees. Vought also is warning that critical programs like WIC, the Women, Infants, and Children Nutrition Program, could run out of money within just a week. Military and federal employee pay is officially on hold, and national parks are open for now, only partially open. Meanwhile, the Department of Veterans Affairs is sparking controversy because it sent a newsletter out, using partisan language, blaming Democrats for the government shutdown, outlining veteran services will continue, such as healthcare and burials, but others may be paused, including the GI Bill hotline and career counseling. The federal courts announced that they will remain open until October 17th, so about 16 days, despite the government shutdown, using court fee balances and other non-appropriated funds to stay operational. Several U.S. Department Inspector General's websites, including Agriculture, Education, Interior, Justice, and Veterans Affairs. This is where people in the federal government submit complaints, whistleblower complaints about their superiors or about working conditions, etc. They've gone offline, displaying notices that they are unavailable due to lack of funding. And multiple agencies, HUD and other agencies, have this banner on the front of the website, if you go to that essentially blames, quote, radical left Democrats. The government, which is not supposed to be partisan in nature in these shutdown moments, is sending out partisan messaging to employees. And while the Trump administration is actively retaliating already by cutting certain funds, freezing other funds because of the government shutdown. And before I continue, please consider subscribing to support my work or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. One example of the funds that have been frozen is today $18 billion in funding for critical infrastructure projects in New York City, including the Hudson Tunnel and the 2nd Avenue subway. Well, both of those funds have been frozen. The reason why is because, according to Russell Vought, the pause was to review contracts allegedly awarded under, quote, unconstitutional DEI principles. Tell me if you've heard that one before. But the real reality is that it's actually political retaliation because Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the House and Senate Democratic leaders, are both from New York. And so the White House is actively retaliating against New York City as we speak. Now, meanwhile, in Chicago, J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, has become the highest-ranking Democrat, or one of the highest-ranking Democrats in the entire country, to call for Donald Trump's removal via the 25th Amendment. He specifically said that something is not right with him, referring to Donald Trump. saying that Donald Trump suggesting that the use of Chicago as a military training ground is akin to what Vladimir Putin would be doing in Russia, and that the 25th Amendment should essentially be implemented. Now, no, the 25th Amendment will not be implemented, because when you think about it, to implement the 25th Amendment, you need a majority vote of Donald Trump's cabinet. You're not going to get a majority vote of Donald Trump's cabinet. In addition, Pope Leo has made rare remarks on U.S. politics, criticizing Donald Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, their rhetoric at the military gathering in Quantico, Virginia, as, quote, concerning, and challenging self-described, quote, pro-life advocates who oppose abortion but fail to reject the death penalty and the mistreatment of migrants, especially in the United States of America. His comments were delivered amid debate in the Chicago diocese, marked as strongest public criticism yet of the Trump administration's policy. Now, in addition, Jane Goodall, the chimpanzee researcher, one of the most influential people of our time, global animal advocate, has died at the age of 91 of natural causes while speaking on a speaking tour in California. Her institute has announced today. Goodall revolutionized science in the 1960s with groundbreaking fieldwork in Tanzania documenting that chimpanzees use tools, display complex social behaviors, and communicate, findings that challenge the notion that such traits were uniquely human. The United States Supreme Court today ruled against the Trump administration, at least partially, determining that Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook can remain in office for now while it considers Donald Trump's attempt to fire her, agreeing to hear arguments in January of 2026. Trump claims he could remove Cook, quote, for cause over disputed mortgage fraud allegations, though Cook vehemently denies wrongdoing, and documents reportedly contradict the charge. Lower courts sided with Cook, prompting Trump's emergency appeal. This is a bit of a crack in Supreme Court jurisprudence and shows that the Supreme Court, the Roberts Court, which in the past has almost always sided with Donald Trump no matter what, well, not anymore at least. Now, seemingly, it looks as though the Roberts Court may be a little open to siding against this administration. 20 state attorneys general, led by New York's Letitia James, are suing the Trump administration over a new Department of Justice rule that would block federal aid for some sexual assault and domestic violence survivors who can't immediately prove their immigration status, arguing that it endangers victims and violates the law. An apartment building in the Bronx partially collapsed this morning after an incinerator shaft gave way, ripping a large hole in the high-rise and prompting evacuations. The collapse, reported just after 8 a.m., may have been triggered by the explosion in the boiler room. Thankfully, no injuries or fatalities have been reported. Jane Fonda has relaunched the Committee for the First Amendment, a free speech initiative first created by her father in 1947 during the McCarthy era, saying that the federal government is once again trying to silence critics in politics, media, academia, and entertainment. Israeli forces have intercepted and boarded a pro-Palestinian flotilla, the Global Samud Flotilla, with more than 40 boats carrying aid and activists, including Greta Thunberg, about 75 miles off the coast of Gaza, cutting communications and ordering the vessels to Ashdod, while activists insisted that they were on a humanitarian mission in defiance of Israel's blockade of Gaza. Folks, that's all the news right now. As always, make sure to support my work by sharing this video, liking this video, commenting on it, and subscribing, because right now, in this moment, we need media that's going to stand up to this White House, stand up for the truth, and I promise you, every single day, I will do that, no matter what. I'll see you soon.
Hello from Portland, Oregon. Still not a war zone here. Still not a city on fire. In fact, it's quite rainy today, and as you know, when it rains, ice melts. I've been thinking about what a profound impact the weather can have on troop morale and how it's real fucking bad timing for Donald Trump to want to start shit in Portland with our rainy season starting back up. All those ICE agents who now, I think because of the government shutdown, they're not getting paid. They're still required to work for no pay right now while the Republicans and Donald Trump have shut down the government. You know, the folks who control both houses of Congress and the White House, they have failed to fund the government. And so what ICE is going to be working for free, standing in the constant drizzle in their soaking wet body armor with their wet boots and their trench foot. It's gonna be a great time for them. Speaking of living in Portland, Oregon, myself and a bunch of other folks have been showing photos and video from around our city since Trump has decided that we are a war zone. Fox News and other right-wing outlets are obviously repeating that nonsense. Donald Trump said there are fires all over the city and that federal buildings are under attack. ICE buildings, there's one ICE facility. It's on Macadam Avenue. It's quite small. I'm just going to reiterate once again. Our own attorney general in court filings said that at most there were 30 protesters at a time in front of the ICE building. 24 kids spray painting the side of a building does not justify spending millions and millions of dollars to bring in the military into a city where the mayor, the governor, the Portland Police Bureau, our congresswomen, and our senators have all said that's not necessary. Please respect states' rights. There is no legal basis to bring the military here. We don't need federal control. Our own police chief, who I have no love for, has said Portland police are handling this fine. There's no widespread violence here. Portland is a low crime city. There's a couple dozen kids who are angry at the way the American Gestapo is attacking our immigrants and creating a reign of terror across this country. Portland police, in sworn testimony in court, said that it is ICE that is instigating incidents of violence. It is ICE that is escalating. If ICE wasn't here, y'all, nothing would be happening in this city. So a bunch of us have been trying to show the world, right? Because we're not hearing from corporate legacy media the truth of the situation. We're definitely not hearing from the regime and their mouthpieces the truth of the situation. And I think it's interesting. I've seen some right-wing accounts thinking that they're going to come in here with a truth bomb and be like, the truth that they don't want you to know about Portland. It's not as quirky and cute and wonderful as they say. It actually, Donald Trump might be right. It actually is a terrible wasteland. I'm not going to go through all of the posts that I've seen in the last couple of days because they're so fucking embarrassing. I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to pick one. It's not even the cringiest one, but it's short. So let me show you the kind of shit that you are seeing in terms of active disinformation, trying to smear Portland and what I guess like give some kind of, you think you're giving some kind of credence to Daddy Donald's fake claims about our city. Okay.
So Portland's supposedly this beautiful city that has everything under control, but like we've got buildings like this all over downtown. I just wanted to show y'all what's actually Portland, you know, what Portland is actually like.
Oh my God, a quiet street where nothing is happening, nobody's there. Holy shit. Ah, God, thanks for illustrating what a war zone our city is. Girl, you showed some paneling in front of one building that's under construction and there's some graffiti on it and like maybe one homeless person. Wow, you sure showed the world how our city is just out of control. It's just unbelievable. It's some fucking welcome to any major city anywhere in the world. There's going to be some graffiti, especially like on a vacant building or on a piece of plywood where there's construction. What the fuck do you think that you're proving here, sweetheart? There's no violence. There's no riots. There's not even protesters. It's a quiet street where nothing is happening downtown. Jessica Savage Rebellion 5150. I did appreciate how hard you got dragged in the comments, though. Welcome to every major city in America. All over downtown shows us one building. Yeah, it's a city. Have you ever been to a city? That's every city. This isn't war ravaged. Do you want military to remove the graffiti? Wow, graffiti on wall warrants military response? Graffiti and homelessness in every major city. No city is perfect. So spray paint equals war? Ask a few vets. Graffiti and a tent on the sidewalk does not look like a war zone. Girl, how does some graffiti justify sending in the military? This is what I don't understand from all you bootlicking Trumpers. Y'all were the party that just months ago was like, don't tread on me, small government, states' rights, keep out of my business. All you fucking libertarians who are now like, yes, please send in the military. Ooh, just trample on our rights, Donnie. You make it hurt so good. Like posse comitatus. Oh, no, here you go. Take it. We want that big federal government all up in our business. What the fuck are y'all doing? It's amazing. It's amazing how quick y'all abandoned your core political principles and values. The same folks whose spank bank was basically like a copy of the Constitution and the don't tread on me flag. The same folks were like, the Civil War wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights. Y'all are now like, yes, we need the military. We need federal forces in all of our cities because there's some graffiti and because we don't take care of our veterans and they end up traumatized, using substances and homeless. How quickly you abandon the Constitution, how quickly you abandon your values of fiscal responsibility. Your Republicans have ballooned the debt trillions of dollars so that billionaires could get a big fat tax break. How quickly y'all have abandoned your states' rights, your small government. What are you doing that for? Why are you doing that? Do you not see how you have betrayed your former self? Do you not see what you have handed over to a fragile, aging billionaire? What are you doing that for? Why are you making videos like this, manufacturing a false narrative about Portland, Oregon, or any other major city so that you can bootlick for Donald Trump and justify his authoritarian expansion in this country, justify him stripping away our rights and infringing on states' rights and wanting to put the military in our cities? Why are you doing that, y'all? Ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing this for? Y'all have forgotten who you are and the things that you say that you stand for. Videos like this are fucking embarrassing. Donald Trump is not going to pick you to be his secret girlfriend. He's not going to pick Laura Loomer either. Y'all are desperate for approval from a fragile narcissist who calls you stupid, who says he doesn't care about political violence in this country. He doesn't care if he starts a civil war. He doesn't care about your quality of life at all. Why are you so desperate for approval from that man? Why are you so willing to hand over your rights and to do his work for him? Why are you carrying water for Donald Trump at the expense of your liberty, at the expense of your quality of life, at the expense of your children's future?